Why should you trust Home Depot? Well, I'll give you a simple reason. I'll give you 2 words. I'll give you Carol Tomé, the despot's longtime chief financial officer who's retiring after 24 years at the company. It was her last conference call. Carol Tomé is money. Now, we spend a huge amount of time interviewing Federal Reserve officials, going to, Grand Tetons or something, hedge fund managers talking their books, or strategists who keep trying to keep their salespeople busy. But Carol Tomé has a better track record than any of them. And she has much less of an agenda, if an agenda at all. In Tomé, we trust she should be Fed chief. So what does the great Carol Tomé have to say on her last conference call? Let's go right to this morning's conference. Let's go right to this transcript, which helped propel the stock 9 points, even as the clueless headline writers who were trying to be out there so quick called the quarter a big miss 1 nanosecond after the release dropped. Here she goes, and I quote, "While global economic pessimism has increased due to geopolitics, currently the U.S. consumer remains healthy. Consumer confidence is near record high levels, and wages are up over 3% from last year." Hey, you know what? That sounds good. Here's the problem, though. The U.S. consumer is facing the impact of tariffs. While trade discussions are fluid, consumer demand could be impacted. That's bad. There. That is the current dilemma in a nutshell. The consumer is doing well, but the trade war with China is making people lose confidence. Something, by the way, that crushed the stock of Kohl's this very same morning. Way bad overreaction. But Michelle Goss will explain that to us, I'm sure. Still, Tomé tells us not to worry too much. Quote, "We are in the longest economic recovery in our nation's history, and yet the amount of growth during this recovery is still under the average of every other recovery in history. So this is one of the reasons why it's been an elongated cycle," end quote. To me, well, you know what that means? It means there's still plenty of room for the Fed to cut interest rates, like the president says. Because throughout the call, Tomé kept bringing up deflationary pressures in the economy. If there's deflation like there is in lumber, like there are so many other quantities, the Fed has every reason to keep cutting. Put it all together, it sure seems like the Fed should be able to deal with any potential weakness that comes our way. But the tariffs are a looming factor that I felt after listening to Tomé could derail us. Still, Home Depot made it clear that we're winning the trade war. As Edward Decker, the executive vice president of merchandising, tells us, and I quote, "I'm not aware of a single supplier who is not moving some form of manufacturing outside of China. So we have suppliers moving production to Taiwan, to Vietnam, Thailand, to Indonesia, and even back to the United States," end quote. All of these changes will help cushion the blow to Home Depot's same-store sales. They only expect a 1% hit on this. Now, it seems to me that this would be the perfect time to make a deal with the Chinese. They need it more than we do. And I say this as a big supporter of the president's tariffs. That's right. You know I support them. But the last thing any president wants is a trade war-related recession as we head into an election year. If I were President Trump, I would heed Home Depot's call and recognize this hugely important industry is at risk from the tariffs, right at the moment when I'm sure the Chinese government would love a reprieve from the trade war, and because it's causing all this manufacturing exodus. That's why, after listening to this conference call, I think it's time to go back to the negotiating table. I want the president to listen to this call. I want Peter Navarro to listen to this call, Secretary Mnuchin to listen to this call. It's really important. Remember, Carol Tomé, she has no agenda. She's not talking about the inverted yield curve, other than in a positive way, because it makes mortgages a lot more affordable. She's not bashing the Fed, even as she acknowledges that our recovery from the Great Recession has been pretty anemic, with several deflation in several key categories like lumber and paint. Tomé's making it clear that we're vulnerable to a downturn in confidence in the most robust portion of our economy.
Don't miss a second of Mad Money. Follow @Jim Cramer on Twitter. Have a question? Tweet Cramer. #MadTweets. Send Jim an email to madmoney@cnbc.com or give us a call at 1-800-743-CNBC. Miss something? Head to madmoney.cnbc.com.